dear learners. I welcome you again to this MOOC on Population and Society. In this video, we shall be discussing the second module of this MOOC titled Relation of Demography to Other Social Sciences. In the first module of this MOOC, we have discussed that demography is the study of human population, its size, nature and composition. We have learned that it is the systematic and scientific analysis of human population. We have also further learned that demographic variables like birth, fertility, mortality, migration are influenced by the larger socio-economic context and vice versa. Therefore, for a comprehensive analysis, these variables cannot be studied in isolation but needs to be located in the larger socio-economic, political and geographical context. Demographic study is therefore largely interdisciplinary in nature, and demography is closely interrelated to other social science disciplines. Further, we also know that there are different academic disciplines which studies the activities and dimensions of individuals and individual behavior from different theoretical approaches and perspectives. Every discipline studying human behavior has certain similarities as well as distinctions from the other disciplines. We can therefore say that every academic discipline, particularly the social sciences, are not disconnected from each other but are interrelated and interdependent. Similarly, demography too is interrelated with other disciplines. It provides inputs to other disciplines and also draws insights from other various academic disciplines. Let us now explore this relationship that demography has with other social science disciplines. So in this module, our basic objective is to discuss the relationship of demography to other social science disciplines like sociology, economics, geography, so on and so forth. Let us first begin with the discussion on the relationship between demography and sociology. Demography, we all know, is the science of human population. It is concerned with various aspects like size, composition, density, birth and death rates, etc. On the other hand, sociology is the study of human society, human social relations, social interaction, societal behavior, so on and so forth. Both demography and sociology deals with human population. Both studies issues of fertility, mortality and migration, and as previously mentioned, these demographic variables are not merely numbers and statistics but are reflections and representations of larger society. So birth, death, migration, these are not merely numbers. How many deaths, how many births, these are not merely numbers and statistics, but they reflect the larger social conditions. Fertility or birth rate is largely determined by the prevailing social conditions like the age of marriage of the girls, social status of women, level of education, social beliefs and perspectives, so on and so forth. So fertility is largely governed by different social factors. We shall discuss about this in greater details in module 3. Similarly, death or mortality is also governed by different social factors like living conditions or socio-economic status of the people, access to healthcare facilities by different groups, their health practices and behavior, so on and so forth. So all these demographic variables are actually governed by the social context, governed by different social conditions, and therefore we see that fertility and mortality rates vary across different societies, across different regions. So these variables are not isolated from its social context but are rather largely determined by the prevailing social context, social conditions. In this sense, both demography and sociology share a close connection because demographic events such as birth, death, etc., are not merely biological in nature but are largely social, and it is the social conditions which mostly determines the increase and decrease of birth, death, and so on, thereby determining to a large extent the changes of population sizes. Therefore, change in population size, we have learned, that is largely determined by social factors rather than merely biological factors. Thus, demography and sociology share a close interrelationship because both deals with human beings and society. For example, sociologists look up to demographers for population data to research on the operational dynamics of the larger society, and similarly, social institutions like marriage, family, and so on have a great impact on the birth rate and the death rate, and hence it indicates the impact of social factors on demographic variables, which is a must to understand for proper demographic analysis. So this shows that just as a sociologist looks up to the demographers for different data on population, similarly, demographers also need to understand the social background, the social factors which determines the birth rate, the fertility rate, death rate, causes of migration, so on and so forth, for a proper demographic understanding, for a proper demographic analysis. Further, even though population policy is a demographic issue, but it varies from country to country based on their specific social needs and social conditions. So even if population policy, we see there are different countries having different kinds of population policies. Population policies varies across the countries because the needs, the social conditions of the countries vary. And therefore these policies are framed to suit the specific context, the specific needs of particular countries. These two indicates the impact and importance of sociological factors for demography and demographic studies. It is therefore also argued that the relationship between demography and sociology is so evident today that the fertility rates, mortality, and migration are not merely the subject matter of demography alone, but also for sociologists as well. Thus, Wilbert Moore has argued that treating demographic variables as exogenous to social systems involve a mode of abstraction that runs grave risk of errors of fact and interpretation. Thus, one can find a strong interrelationship between sociology and demography. The elements of population like family size, literacy level, type of employment, etc. affect the social behavior of a person to a great extent. Therefore, it is very, very important to consider the aspects of population while studying sociology. According to Kinsley Davies, the areas of study which require combined knowledge of demography and sociology are fertility, population changes, structure of labor force, social organization, family with regard to demographic behavior, and internal and external migration. So we have seen that just as demography gives its inputs to sociology, to sociologists for further research and studies, similarly, sociology also gives a lot of insights to demography for a holistic, comprehensive demographic analysis of human population. Now, even though these subjects, demography and sociology, are closely intertwined, but there exist certain differences among them too. The first difference is that family, marriage, so on and so forth are studied by both sociologists and demographers, but sociology studies it as social institution and identifies its impact on social life, whereas demography studies family, marriage, and so on by looking at their contribution to the framework of population and its sizes. Secondly, sociology mostly explains social relations qualitatively, while demography explains this quantitatively by using various statistical methods. According to H. J. H. Notney, there are Some more differences between demography and sociology. According to him, he states that demography reports hard facts harder than most sociological data. Demography reports factual behavior, not opinions, attitude, plans, etc., as sociology often does. In demographic censuses, people are more or less forced to reply, while sociological samples often suffer from high rates of non-respondents. He also argues that demography can precisely model population developments, something which sociology cannot do with societal or social developments, at least not to the same extent. So these are his views on the differences between sociology and demography. But he finally argues that nevertheless, demography and sociology are interdependent and both the disciplines give insights to each other, and therefore they can be argued as commuting members of one family. For him, demography and sociology actually belongs to one family of study, and they are the commuting members of one family. So there are some minor differences between sociology and demography, but nevertheless we have seen that they share a very, very close relationship, and so much so that demography has become a part of or a branch of sociology. Students of sociology have specialized papers on demography like social demography. So dear learners, I hope you must have understood the relationship between demography and sociology. Let us now try to understand the relationship between demography and economics. Demography and economics as academic disciplines share a close relationship. Economics is primarily concerned with the economic problems of the people. These economic problems arise out of the needs and demands of people. More people implies more needs and demands. Further, population size is also related to per capita income, access to housing and sanitation, health and education, so on and so forth. Hence, demographic studies and demographic data are very important for economics. Further, going back to the origins of these disciplines, as argued by Janis Malesic, from the historical development point of view, it is possible to see that economics and demography share a great deal of common history. For centuries, they were included with other social sciences under the broader cover of philosophy. Later, when economics had developed into a particular scientific discipline, it had covered many important demographic questions. He has also argued that demography and economics are scientific disciplines which studies reproduction. Demography studies reproduction of human population, while economics studies reproduction of the economy. From this point of view, these two disciplines share a very close relationship, especially when we take into account the role of human population as an integral element of economic reproduction. It is the people for whom every economic activity is intended, and at the same time, it is the people who participate in the economy as the labor force. So, people, they participate as labor force, and it is the most important factor of production. So from this we have understood that human population exerts its influence or impact in the economy in two ways. One is with its role as producers by participating in the labor force, and secondly as consumers for whom every production activity is intended towards. Therefore, in simple words, to figure out who will produce, how much to produce, how much resource will be needed, etc., population data becomes very important for economists. And this explicates the strong relationship between demography and economics, and why a strong relationship between demography and economics is important. Again, demography studies minutely about the regional distribution of population, which has an impact on the economic activities. It studies about the regional variations of population, and this information acquired by the demographers is of utmost importance to economists, because while framing various policies No, trying to understand how much food production is required, so on and so forth, these data becomes very important. On the other hand, some important aspects of economics, such as volume of production, its consumption, are important for demographers while framing policies related to the size and pattern of population. Further, we also know that there are different theories of demography, like the Malthusian theory of population, the theory of demographic transition, so on and so forth, which indicates the relationship between demography and economics and how demographic sizes impact the economy. We all know how Malthus talked about changing size of population and its relation to food production, so on and so forth. So we shall discuss about this in details when we discuss the theories of population in week 5 of this MOOC in the modules 13 to 16. Thus we see a strong association between demography and economics. However, one can also find out certain differences between the subjects. Scholars have argued that production is studied in economics as an economic activity of men, whereas in demography, production is studied to understand its impact on the quality of population. Similarly, birth rate is studied in economics to understand its impact on price, production, consumption, demand, labor market, and supplies, etc., while demography studies birth rate to analyze its impact on the size and composition of population. It is also argued that scope of economics is wider than demography because it encompasses the study of production, consumption, and distribution as well. So learners, you must have understood the relationship between demography and economics and how demographic data helps economists, and similarly economic studies also help demographers. Let us now try to understand the relationship between demography and another social science discipline, that is geography. Demography, as we know, is the study of human population in a particular place at a particular time, whereas geography is the study of the natural environment, the places and the spaces of the earth's surface and their interrelationship with human beings. Though initially geography was more oriented towards the study of natural environment, however, it has gradually incorporated the study of human population also became an important component of geographic studies. As argued by L.A. Kosinski, there has also been attempts to identify a separate branch of geography dealing specifically or mainly with population data from the late 19th century, when the term anthropogeography was coined in the year 1882. He also argues that while various aspects of population was studied by different geographers in the interwar years, it was really after World War II that there has been attempts made to identify or to establish population geography as a separate branch or a separate subdiscipline of geography. Further, as mentioned by Kosinski, the importance of the study of population for geography is such that population geography has now established a firm footing within the discipline of geography. Special courses are taught at the university level on population geography, and there are specialized periodicals, journals which focuses on this area of population geography. Therefore, we have seen the importance of studying population has taken its own place in the subject of geography as well, which was erstwhile more oriented towards studying nature, studying natural environment, but now it has also encompassed the study of population within its domain or within its subject matter. So we have seen that how geography has encompassed the study of population and various aspects of population. Similarly, demography too takes account of geographical conditions for the distribution of population. So it is not that only geography or students of geography, scholars of geography has taken interest in studying population, but demographers and students of demography has also begun to take interest in the study of geography and geographical conditions and how they impact the distribution of population across various regions. According to Ackerman, recent geographers have taken the cultural features of the art, analyzed them generically and genetically in their space relations, and established covariant relations of cultural features with each other and with those of physical and biotic environment. These distributional features are common to both demography and geography. It is also seen that both geographers and demographers have been taking keen interest in census data to study and analyze the regional disparities and imbalances of population. They analyze why population size and distribution varies across region. Thus, we can see that, or we can say that there exists an interdependent relationship between demography and geography. So, dear learners, we have discussed the relationship between demography and geography. Let us now try to understand the relationship between demography and human ecology. Human ecology studies the relation and interrelations between nature in general sense and human nature in particular. Environment has its impact on human beings, their distribution and density. Similarly, human population too exerts its influence and impact on the environment. Human beings tend to exploit natural resources for different activities, and therefore Hutchinson and Dewey defined human ecology as nothing else but biodemography. Human ecology and demography as academic disciplines too have a close relation. Human ecology studies various problems associated with population like fertility, mortality, and uses various demographic data and techniques. Life tables, for example, are studied both in human ecology and demography. The demographic variables act as dependent and independent variables in the research conducted by human ecologists. Similarly, various principles and concepts of human ecology are also used by demographers in their research studies, while formulating research hypotheses, so on and so forth. Therefore, according to P.W. Frank, ecology provides specific theoretical statements about human population. Thus, we have seen that human ecology and demography also share a close relation. They are interdependent on each other. They both give insights to each other. Just as demography draws insights from human ecology, similarly human ecology also draws inputs and insights from demography. So, dear learners, we have discussed about how demography is related, or what is its relation to various social science disciplines. Apart from these, demography is also related to disciplines like anthropology. It is also related to other disciplines beyond social science like mathematics. Mathematical calculations are used for in demography while measuring birth rate, while measuring death rate. Similarly, demography also uses insights from statistics. Statistics also shares a close relationship with demography. Thus, we see that demography is largely an interdisciplinary subject. It shares close relationship with social sciences as well as with other academic disciplines like mathematics, like biology, like statistics, so on and so forth. This makes the study of demography interdisciplinary, and demography itself also gives out, or itself demography as a subject also provides data for conducting research, for conducting studies in various academic disciplines. So all these disciplines are interrelated and they share a close relationship with demography. So we hope you have understood the kind of relation that demography shares with other social sciences. In the next module, we shall basically be discussing the concept of birth and fertility. So we hope to see you in the next video, and we conclude here today. Thank you.